Hey there, welcome back to my kitchen. Today's video was a struggle for me. I need to tell you guys, be completely honest, 2 recipes didn't even make it in this video. And the first 2 that you'll see today had issues. Let's just say that. They had issues, but I still wanted to share with you. I'll tell you what all happened, but let's go ahead and get started. Starting today's video off, we're making this cheeseburger gnocchi. I just started by taking my big cast iron skillet, I want to say it's 12 inches. I added 1 pound of ground beef and half of a yellow chopped onion. I am going to cook both those here together. While this was cooking, I did go ahead and season up the meat. I added about a teaspoon of salt, half a teaspoon of pepper, half a teaspoon of onion powder, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and 1 teaspoon of cumin. Next time, I think I would definitely cut down on the cumin. I think that's really where this started to taste more like a taco gnocchi rather than a cheeseburger gnocchi. But like I said, this still turned out really good, so I would still make it again, but I would call it a taco gnocchi if I did. Once that was all combined, I let it finish cooking, and at that point I added about a teaspoon of minced garlic and let that cook for about another minute or so. For this, I used a pretty lean ground beef, so I didn't actually have to drain any grease off, but if you do have grease, make sure you get rid of that. Once my ground beef was done cooking, I also removed it from the pan, and I added another tablespoon of butter in there and let that melt down. Now I'm adding in 1 pound of gnocchi, and I'm just going to let this brown up in this pan for about 5 minutes until it has gotten some nice color to it. Now I'm adding 1 cup of beef broth and 1 10-ounce can of diced tomatoes with green chilies. And I'm also adding my ground beef back in there as well. I'm going to mix this up really well, let the gnocchi continue to soften up, bring this to a light boil, and then when all the liquid is gone, we'll continue. As you can see, most of the liquid has evaporated and the gnocchi is nice and tender now. I'm going to add in about a 1/4 cup to 1/3 of a cup of heavy whipping cream and get that combined. Next, you'll need about 1/2 cup of shredded sharp cheddar cheese. You'll add that in and mix that together. This is just to make it nice and cheesy. And then once you get that all mixed in, we're actually going to add more cheese to the top. I added about another cup of sharp cheddar cheese to the top of this. I let this melt and then it was ready to eat. This is what my plate looked like. I did add some green onions over the top of this. This meal, I want to say, did not turn out bad. It was very, very good, but we thought it tasted more like taco gnocchi rather than cheeseburger gnocchi. So we actually ended up putting some sour cream and hot sauce on top, but overall it was still really delicious. I just think it needs a new name or reduce that cumin because I think that's really what did it. Next, we're making this Italian sausage and potato dish. This meal was inspired by a certain sauce I'll show you a little later on. We just wanted to get it used up because it was about to expire. So to begin, I went ahead and chopped up half of a yellow onion into nice small pieces, and I peeled and cubed about 1 pound to 1.5 pounds of yellow potatoes. Now over to my skillet, I'm adding 1 pound of these mild Italian sausages. I did remove the casing so that I could just chop them up and use them as ground sausage. I also added in my onion, and we're going to let that cook in here with the sausage so we get some really good flavor going. Once the sausage was done, I did add about a teaspoon of minced garlic and let that cook for another minute. With this meal, you will probably notice that I have already switched pans, and that is because I thought the white one was too small, so I switched to this bigger 12-inch cast iron. I added some more olive oil and a little bit more butter after removing the sausage, and now we're going to fry up those potatoes. For the seasonings, I started with about 1 teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of onion powder, a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a half a teaspoon of paprika, and about a 1/4 teaspoon of pepper. I just got those mixed together and continued to cook those potatoes. At this point is kind of when disaster struck, so my mom actually called me and I thought I turned this down, and apparently I didn't. So the bottom layer of my potatoes burnt to the bottom of my pan, and I mean burnt like black to the bottom of the pan. So I actually switched to my third pan here. As you can tell, it's a little bit smaller. I saved the potatoes that I could. They were fine, the ones that were not burnt. So at this point, I went ahead and added my Italian sausage back in, and now we're going to use this Parmesan garlic sauce, and I thought this would be good because on the side it said something about Italian seasonings. So I went ahead and just added about 1/3 of this bottle in here. If I hadn't lost a lot of those potatoes, I probably would have added about half of the bottle. I got this all mixed together, smoothed out the top, and then I added about a half a cup of shredded mozzarella cheese over the top. I have made this before using chicken, not on my channel. I just made it for me and my husband one time. I did see it, somebody else online made it. I totally forget his name. I will try to find the original recipe with the chicken and link it for you if I can. But basically, I just tried to replace it with the sausage because that's what I had on hand for this night, and I really wanted to use up that Parmesan sauce. So that's kind of where this recipe came from. This meal did turn out really good, but like I said, it kind of was a disaster cooking this because I burnt the potatoes and then had to save it. But honestly, this meal was pretty good. I'm glad I was able to save it. We enjoyed it, and then I just served it with some watermelon. So since this week didn't turn out the best and I only had 2 recipes to share with you, I went ahead and decided to cook up a skillet chocolate chip cookie. I did find this recipe in my grandma's cookbook. She did pass away this past year, so I do enjoy making recipes out of her cookbook from time to time. So today we're going to make this chocolate chip cookie, and I'm starting by preheating my oven to 350 degrees. I added in 1 softened room temperature stick of butter, followed by half a cup of regular sugar and half a cup of brown sugar. Her recipe specifically says to buy a brand new bag of brown sugar and don't use old brown sugar, so I really don't know if that'll make a huge difference, but mine was brand new anyways. Once that's all mixed together, I'm going to add in 1 room temperature egg, 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and 2 tablespoons of half and half. And now I'm just going to get that combined real quick. Now straight into this bowl, you don't need to mix it in another bowl first. You're going to add 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. Then you'll add in a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and a 1/4 teaspoon of baking powder. I'm going to go ahead and get this combined just until the flour is all absorbed in there. And then at that point, we're going to add in some chocolate chips. I did scrape down the edges just to make sure that I did not miss anything along the sides or the bottom. And for the chocolate chips, her recipe says to use about 3/4 cup of regular semi-sweet chocolate chips, but I like to use mini chocolate chips. I think it just gets mixed in a lot better. So I used about a 1/4 cup to a 1/3 of a cup of mini chocolate chips. I just turned the mixer on for a second to mix those together, and then into my 10-inch oiled cast iron skillet. Want to make sure you spray that down really good with some olive oil spray. You're going to go ahead and add that cookie dough in there and spread it out as evenly as you can. Over the top, I sprinkled just a little bit more chocolate chips over the top to finish it off, and then this went into the oven to bake, and her recipe says to bake for 12 minutes. However, mine ended up cooking for about 20 to get fully done. At the 12-minute mark, the center of mine was not even close, so maybe start watching it at the 12-minute mark and then take it out when the middle looks like it's set and got nicely golden brown over the top. But this is what it'll look like. I just cut mine out in like a pizza shape. My husband likes to add vanilla ice cream to the top of this. I am not a big fan of the vanilla ice cream on here, but he said when it's really warm out of the oven, adding that vanilla ice cream on top is delicious. Thanks so much for watching. Even though today's video didn't go as planned, I really appreciate you being here and supporting my little channel. Don't forget to leave me a little flower down in the comments to let me know you made it all the way to the end, and I'll see you back here on Wednesday. Bye guys.